Welcome back. We are still on day 3 of the 100 Days of Code Challenge, and I would be lying to you if I told you that I'm not quite nervous. It's one thing to do projects on the side, away from prying eyes. You know you're going to make mistakes and you're potentially not going to be judged, but it's another to do so for everyone to see. But you know, I thought it's time to step out of the comfort zone, and maybe I'll learn a thing or two. Maybe someone will be able to point something out. Maybe it's nice to be able to look back and realize just how far I've come 5-10 years from now, because I'm sure it would have been leaps and bounds by then. But here we are, beginning our web design projects, as we have completed the curriculum on the responsive web design. Let's jump straight into it. Time to put your newly learned skills to work. By working on projects, you would have the opportunity of applying all the skills, principles and concepts you have learned so far: HTML, CSS, visual design, accessibility, etc. In this section, you get the chance to build a tribute page, build a survey form, build a product landing page, build a technical documentation page, as well as building a personal portfolio web page. So that's pretty exciting. By the end of this, you would have 5 responsive websites under your belt that you could show off to friends, family, employers, etc. Have fun, and remember to use the read, search, ask method if you get stuck. Let's go to the first lesson. Responsive web design projects. Build a tribute page. Objective: build a CodePen.io app that is functionally similar to this. Okay. A tribute page, huh? Norman Borlaug. Okay. Fulfill the below user stories and get all of the tests to pass. Give it your own personal style. You can use HTML, JavaScript and CSS to complete this project. Plain CSS is recommended because that is what the lessons have covered so far, and you should get some practice with plain CSS. You can use Bootstrap or Sass if you choose. Additional technologies, just for example jQuery, React, Angular or Vue, are not recommended for this project, and using them is at your own risk. Other projects will give you a chance to work with different technology stacks like React. We will accept and try to fix all issues reports that users suggest the technology stack for this project. Happy coding! Okay. So what are our requirements? User story number 1. My tribute page should have an element with a corresponding ID of main, which contains all other elements. User story number 2. I should see an element with a corresponding ID of title, which contains a string, i.e. text, that describes the subject of the tribute page, e.g. Dr. Norman Borlaug. Number 3, I should see a div element with a corresponding ID image div. Within the image div element, I should see an image element with a corresponding ID of image. Within the image div element, I should see an element with a corresponding ID image caption that contains textual content describing the image shown in image div. I should see an element with a corresponding ID tribute info, which contains textual content describing the subject of the tribute page. I should see an A element with a corresponding ID tribute link, which links to an outside site that contains additional information about the subject of the tribute page. Hint: you must give your element an attribute of target and set it to blank in order for your link to open in a new tab. User story number 8. The image element should responsively resize relative to the width of its parent element, without exceeding its original size. The image element should be centered within its parent element. You can build your project by forking this CodePen, or you can use the CDN link to run the tests in any environment you like. We'll fork it. Once you're done, submit the URL to your working project with all its tests passing. Remember to use the read search ask method if you get stuck. Oh boy. Okay, so we need to fork this. What have we got here? Okay, so let's go ahead and fork it. We're gonna give it a name. Ah, okay, so tribute page. You know what? I think I know exactly who I'm gonna make the tribute on. So Chester Bennington, as a lot of you may know, lead singer from Linkin Park, has been a great deal of inspiration to me in my life, has helped me through a lot of trying times through his music, and I just feel he was an overall generally awesome guy. So if I'm going to be making a tribute page, it's definitely going to be about Chester. So I guess we're going to need to find some information out, check the Wikipedia out, probably get some images, and get everything like sorted. So if we know it's going to be on Chester, I guess we should rename this. What's the project? Bode tribute page. I guess we should call it FCC Bode a tribute page. Was it Bode? Yeah, Bode tribute page. Chester Bennington. How's that? What is web design projects? We can always rename it afterwards, can't we? I don't think that really matters. Look at me getting distracted by everything else right now. Hello camper. For now the test suit only works in Chrome. Ooh, maybe it's gotten working since. Feel free to delete this message. Okay, I will do so. And the JavaScript, important readme. You may add additional external... Does this work? Yes it does. You may add additional external JS and CS as needed to complete the project. However, the current external resource must remain in place for the test to work. Babel must also be left in place. Babel? Instructions. Select the project you would like to complete from the drop-down menu. Click the Run Test button to run the test against a blank pen. Click the Test button to see the individual test cases. Should all be failing at first, start coding. As you fulfill each test case, you will see them go from red to green as you start to build out your project. When tests are failing, you should get help for errors along the way. Yay! You said try adding color red as an example. Is that going to cause issues? Oh. Wait, did it change like all of the code to red? Is that the issue? No. Okay. But we can feel free to delete this. I don't think we're gonna have any JavaScript. We haven't really done any JavaScript, have we? So we need to start somewhere. And the basic structure, we're gonna need the HTML tag, obviously. And we're gonna need a head tag. Then we're going to need a title. What can we give the title on? Think of something like Chester Bennington tribute page? Should automatically save. What else would we need? Just trying to think. We close the head off for now. We would have the I wonder. We could keep the script in the head, because that's technically where you would stick it, wouldn't you? Oopsie. Got the title. Might as well close the head off now. Is that inline? Yeah. There we go. And then we're going to need our body. Oops. We're gonna have our content here. And then we're going to close off our HTML. Okay, progress. We have nothing. But we got the basics down. Let's go back to our requirements. Should have an element with a corresponding ID main. So do you think we can just... We can have a div, can't we? And then in that we would have the main element. Is that how you wrote them? It was just like that, wasn't it? Main. You would have sections, articles, if I remember correctly. We got an error? Why did we get an error? That was weird. We didn't even do anything. Stop giving us errors. I think we need a... We're gonna need a header up here. And here we're gonna have something like... What do we want to say? Let's just get some content rolling. So I'm just gonna type in Chester Bennington, just so we have something on our page. And that's gonna be our header part. And then our main section is gonna be beneath that, so that we can have that semantic at least. We need to take into account and try to use as much as we can remember. We're not going to have any navs here because you're not going to really navigate. Should we have navs? Maybe we can. if we keep it like simple, depending on what information, let's see how much information we have if it warrants having navigation. So CSS, we should... Oh boy, that's the part where I always choke. Oh god. Let's go find a font that we're gonna like, that we can use for Chester Bennington. With or without serif? Maybe not monospace, not display. Shall we try for a handwriting one? It's gonna be like very grunge then if we use one of these and kind of hard to read. We want something that looks good. Didn't this have the option to put in an example somewhere before? You used to. Okay, but let's find a font that looks nice but is still readable. I like this. The Berkshire Swash. Aladdin also kind of looks nice. This calls out to me. Marienda 1. C specimen. So to import it, so we're going to import. We're not going to use JavaScript, so let's see as much as we can. Import URL, then the font. And then we got to remember to set the font family. So for H2, doesn't necessarily have to be for H2, it can be for title? Because I don't want every H2 element, not that there's going to be many of them. What can we call it? I guess like trip title? Or just, might as well just type it out fully, tribute title. And then we need to include this part over here, don't we? Font family, Marienda 1. What do we want to fall back to? Cursive. Depending on what cursive looks like. Then let's give this tribute title. I think it's a bit small. We can always increase the font size, can't we? And just do font size, something like 24 pixels. Is it already 24? I think it already is 24. 28, or maybe 32. Let's see how that goes. We'll play around with it. I'm wondering if we should add Charles into it, or just leave it as Chester Bennington. Well, we've got his name in. Good progress. What does cursive look like? Okay. I mean, it's not that bad, is it? It degrades okayish. We can see afterwards. Let's start knocking the requirements off first of all. We need to have an element with a corresponding ID of main, which contains all other elements, which we have now, right? That's done. I should see an element with a corresponding ID of title, which contains a string. Okay, so this needs to be called title. So, was it lowercase? Yeah, it was all lowercase, so we're gonna rename this to title. There we go. That's the requirement. Number 3, I should see a div element with a corresponding ID image div. Okay. So we're gonna have an image underneath this. Somewhere here. ID image div. We're gonna stick our image in there probably, right? So how are we doing so far? 3 of 10. Within the image div element, I should see an image element with a corresponding ID of image. Let's flesh that out. Let's get it all fleshed out. Why do we get an error each time? Okay, within the image div element, we should have an image caption. So we can add a paragraph, I guess, and give it an ID of image caption. And we're gonna have a caption here. Enter caption here, just to remind myself. Oh, whoopsie. So we're gonna put the caption there, we're gonna have the image there. I should see an element with a corresponding ID tribute info, which contains textual content describing the subject of the tribute page. We can add a section for that, can't we? So let's do section ID tribute info. And then we need to have a tribute link as well, which links to the outside. Add info here. Just trying to think now. Guess we should end the section. But I'll probably have more, so let me just like... It's gonna be a tough one now, because now I've got to figure out like layout and designs and... Maybe we can draw some inspiration from like one of the albums, like Meteora, Minutes to Midnight. It's still one of my favorite albums. Maybe we should look at that as well. Let's do some research. So maybe we can do like... I think we should draw inspiration from my favorite album. I mean, look at all these tracks. So what I'm gonna do... let's go to images.google.com and we're gonna draw inspiration from the intro album art. So let's have a good look at this, because this is gonna be our inspiration. This is taking forever to load. Can we find another one? We used to have this add-on, but I don't think we need to. Let's try to find a font like this. Do you see this font? I really like that. And this is a serif type font, isn't it? So maybe if we can get like a grungy... Gonna have to look through the fonts again. And use that as our inspiration. We'll have Chester. It's like very thick as well. I know we can change the thickness of the font. So let's just try to find something that matches. There aren't that many. At least under handwriting, but maybe it's not handwriting. So let's check serif. We might get a cleaner cut over sans serif, because like this one over here, Roboto, used before, could be a nice secondary one. I really like the look of that. So I'm going to be adding those in. What do we have copied? Import. Okay, so the whole line. Well, it's cool how Google did that, so you can literally just have them piped in. So definitely Roboto. Anton. We could always add effects to the text if we really wanted to. Or we like take it a step too far. I'm just looking for a really thick font, something like these. Doesn't that look nice? Jockey 1. It's kind of got these like kind of grudgy, kind of got sharp edges. I like that. Let's remember Jockey 1. Come back to it if we can't find anything else. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go for Jockey 1 to replace why is the load time moderate? Huh. Because I added... We must just remember to remove that. And then we need to be using sans serif. Oops, the whole thing. Keep forgetting. That looks better. I like that. And we could just say our inspiration's drawn from Etora. So we're gonna kind of go for like that beigey almost color, and like that dark brown. That's what our background is gonna be. So let's try to get like a color like this. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna quickly load up Photoshop in the background and just get that color on a color picker so that we at least know what color we're working with. Okay, so I got it. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna try use HLS that we learned yesterday. So let's do body. Guess we can do it in the body, can't we? Where else are we going to do it? On the container. Background, color. How does HLS work again? Let's Google it. Google everything we need. Oh, it's HSL. My bad. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so hue, saturation, lightness. Okay. If I enter color value that I have, non-standard, that's what we have. So it's a HSL of that. And just add the background color like that. And it's kind of it, right? We need to add some like shadows and stuff. We'll add box shadows afterward to kind of mimic what's going on. And then we're obviously gonna have to use a darker tone for everything else. We can maybe box it in and then use a darker version of that. So if we stick with the color picker and we go darker at maybe this. So our title. Okay, that doesn't work. Wait, I wasn't going to use it for that anyway. That was for the text. Can we not... how did you do it again? It was like that and like that to comment out, yeah. Okay, now we need to figure out our div. And I think we're going to do flexbox, I think. We're going to do the flex, or we're going to use the grid. I wonder now, because we learned both today. Hey, organism. Day 3 is going well. We're doing our first project here. We need to create a tribute page. So I'm obviously going to be creating one to Chester Bennington based off of my favorite album's art style, art cover, I guess. So taking inspiration from it and seeing where we get. I kind of like these like brackets in a way. Maybe I can like draw them with CSS. If we can like add that in around his name. But that's like that's like brand name, album name, so that kind of works. I don't know what I'd really have there, because it's just him by himself. Chester Bennington isn't Linkin Park. Well, I mean, I guess you could say he is, but the tribute is on him as a person, not necessarily Linkin Park. Very creative. Oh god, I suck at creativity. So that's why I'm struggling right now to try and figure out what I'm gonna do, because I have no idea. All I know is we need flex, so I think we might need to go back a challenge just to do a refresher, because Flexbox, that was Flexbox and that was Grid. I think we liked Flexbox over Grid. Okay, so let's look back at the requirements. We need to stick everything in our main. So main is gonna kind of be, what's our layout gonna look like? We're gonna have main, that's gonna house everything. And then within that there should be more boxes? Did we do that in Flexbox? I guess we should also set a max width, shouldn't we? Of like 80%? Okay, so everything falls into the main ID. Just gotta figure out. Okay, sorry about that. I'm back. So everything's going to be housed under the main ID. So I guess we should have that as something we style. And we need to give it a width, I guess, of 80% or something along those lines. Well, how are we gonna fill everything? I just gotta think now. Okay, you know what? No, let's do width 100%. And then we're gonna do margin auto so that we can get everything nicely aligned. Then within that, title needs to fall somewhere. That's header. Are we gonna give a class to header? Or not really? That's something I gotta think of now. A tricky one. I guess that class is part of title, so we just need to style title really, right? So we can put title in a flexbox, can't we? All we needed for that was to add display flex to it. And then we can call upon the other things like was it flex align center? Wasn't that one of them? I've got to remember everything. It's like, yeah, you do it while you're reading it, but that's about it. Let's just have a look quickly. Because I liked the things you could do with flex. Because we need to make a row. don't we? We also need the width and height. I see we are going to run into a little bit of an issue here. Because I kind of want to have a two-tone and have it scale out, so what if we changed, don't you call it like wrapper something usually? So if I go wrapper, and we're gonna have the contents of main inside wrapper, right? Then main is gonna be our actual main content, because then and then just close that off. So then we go wrapper, then we go main, and then in main we can do flexbox. So display flex. That's display flex. Then we still need so we can do width. Do we do a width of like 80% or something? Thanks, Organism. Let's see how we get now with this once I do a background color. There's the background color. So we got display flex. We got a width of 80%, so it'll never be more than 80% of the entire page, but now we also have to center it using wasn't flex direction. What does row do? Oh, that was when we had two or more, right? Yeah, and then we just shift them around. Okay, but that's not what we need. We need we need to center it. Align elements. It's justify content or align items. One of these. So we can justify content, flex. So let's justify content, center. Okay, that's, oh, that's the contents within the flex. That's not what I want. Do I need to margin 0 alter this as well? Is that why? There we go. Now this is centered. We don't technically need it for that, do we? But we might as well leave it there. So now we centered. Okay, but I don't need to justify the content. And I don't think I want to be using flex at the end. Because I think grids... What was the point of flex again? That you could have multiple and you can flex if they're at 50-50 and they can grow. Because one of the requirements, the only reason I was thinking about flex is because one of the requirements here is the image element should responsively resize relative to the width of its parent element without exceeding its original size. And what was the image element? It had an ID of image, so we could maybe add flex to that. But we don't even have an image yet. Okay, let's get this stuff sorted first before we even get anywhere. We're gonna want Chester Bennington. In the middle, I guess. What do you think, organism? Should we have it in the middle? Because I told you I suck when it comes to creative things. I think let's figure out centering it quickly. So what controls it? It's title. So where's title? Title is here. Display flex. No, let's not flex it. Let us... But if it was flexed... Can't we just do text align center? No. So if the entire thing is in a flex, align, was it align content center? Or was it content align? Or was justify content? Was it not justify content? But we need to add a width as well now. %50 of... I gotta really figure out how these work. I wish I could visually see what I'm doing, because now I've just made it go all the way there. And this is title, and title is right here. I don't have to justify the content. So let's see the flow of this. Main is a flex and has a width of 80%. Title is within main. I think I'm confusing it with grids, maybe? I see I didn't even say display flex. I think, do I need to specify it? If box container, I'm just trying to see the example, is there, box container, and box 1 and box 2 are within that. And you've got your height set for box container. I need a height for... that affecting it? Yes, it is. If I do 200 pixels. Or if I do flex end, does not change it for me. Trial and error. Yay! What have I done? What have I done? I'm happy with that at least. But why? Oh, because we did flex, it split up all this content, didn't it? It never used to be like that before. So if I just take flex away, then everything goes back to normal. Okay, so how about we undo flexing? Let's stop flexing. We don't know how to flex. And if I remove these... Okay, so we need to pretend. This is why I wish we could visualize and see what is actually going on. We technically can actually check this background color to just emulate where it is and what we're affecting. So now if we go height 200 pixels, then we know exactly what it looks like. It doesn't need to be that much, does it? But the point is, I think we need to have background colors, just in temporarily, so that we see what section is what. It just visually makes it easy, doesn't it? And then after title we have image div. image caption, and add info. Ooh. Okay, now that we know that Chester Bennington is there and it fills the full span, that's brilliant. Now what we want to do is center it. So how do we center it? I remember that there used to be text-align center, but oh, okay, it works. I think it was because of flex. From what I remember in the article, you can't use text-align center when you use flex or whatever. Okay, so there it is. It's centered. Now we need to add a write-up for who he was, and I think I'm gonna go, to make it like really formal, we're gonna go Chester Charles Bennington, and we're gonna add some. Do we add emphasis for Charles? Because it's his like middle name. That doesn't make sense. Then it's like you call it like he's referred to as Charles. No, we're just gonna leave it as Chester Charles Bennington, just like that. Now we need to get some info. He was, because he was obviously, can't really say because you don't know the guy in person, but I'd like to think he was a loving father and husband. He went through a lot, and music was kind of his escape, his way to vent how he was feeling. So I want to give something kind of like a subtitle. If the title is Chester Charles Bennington, I'd like a subtitle underneath. Do we have any ideas? Anything at all? Let's add a H3 class. I'm just gonna say subtitle, right? And we're gonna have it here, subtitle. What does Wikipedia say? There's a lot of info here. I'm just gonna add something and then see how it looks afterwards. So loving, that's what I wanted to say. What are you thinking, organism? Need some ideas here. No one told me it's going to be creative as well. It's responsive web design, not creative responsive web design. I was gonna do something like that. What I need ideas on, just what I would have like as the subscript to this, basically. And just reduce the font size here, just a tiny bit. Maybe 16 pixels. I just want to see the distinction between... okay, there it is. So what creates that, like, padding? Is that... I wonder if I can do margin 0. Does that remove it? Does that change anything? It goes right to the top at least. So if I go margin 0 auto... oh, god damn it. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I need it to go up, and I think it's because of the H2 and H3. They have padding by default, and I know if you go and you strip them, from what I remember, so if I go H2, are we using H2 and H3? We are, right? Yeah, H2, H3, and I go margin 0 auto, that removes that, and padding 0 auto, is that a thing? That like removes all the extra padding, do you see? So then I kind of have to like put everything on myself. What do we think? Getting somewhere. The wrapper, we're gonna add padding top, 50 pixels maybe? Just so we have that bit of padding, so it's like not right at the top. And then we want to change the font of that subtitle, because that is not doing it for me. I was going to use Roboto somewhere. Let's look at our inspiration again. That. Maybe Roboto. Let's see. Let's see how it looks. Oh, it's too big. I'd rather have it smaller. And we can also add some font weight to because we did learn about that, didn't we? I mean, not 800 pixels, just 800. Is that the max? What? Okay, I think it was already at max. Oh, that's better if we reduce the font weight a bit. And then let's italize it. No, it wasn't like a quote or anything, it was just something really short that goes under his name. Because the next section is going to be there with the image of him. And then we're going to have a quote. I've got actually one of my favorite quotes that he ever said. You can't be afraid of people willing to hurt you, because if you fear life, then you'll never live. So that was like quite inspirational. Just gotta figure out where I'm gonna add all this, and then remove the hideous colors. H3H394, hey, how's it going? So good of you to drop by. Oh man, I'm in a mess with this right now. Maybe let's drop the image in, and it will give us a bit of like... It's going fine, thanks. What about you? It's going good. So basically doing a tribute page right now is one of the web projects on Free Code Camp, and I decided I'm going to do a tribute on Chester Bennington, but I'm obviously trying to piece everything. Never really built something from scratch before, and I'm more back-end, if I had to say so, than front-end, so kind of just trying to piece things together, I guess. So let's sort this by large, and let's find a really good quality image here. I'm gonna go with something that's lengthways. Something black and white would be nice, something that shows emotion. I really like this image, but it's very short and cropped off. Yeah, RIP Chester, right? And that's exactly why I'm doing a tribute. This guy right here helped me through a very hard time in my youth. It's kind of a cool one if you can like fade it out as well. Like imagine having this. I'm gonna have this as like a backup, but this with that quote that I got. Let's keep this here at the back. Or maybe even this one. This seems like a really... I'm gonna keep that one on the side as well. We'll play around with it. We'll see. We'll see what works best. It's just piecing it all together once we have the info. But which one did I say is good that we're gonna work with? I lost it now. Find it again. Hold on. This one. So what I'm thinking, doing a grayscale filter on it. Well, I might as well just make a grayscale directly in Photoshop. And just take this image. And then I'm gonna grayscale it. Because I think grayscale is gonna work really nicely. Desaturate. There we go. And then I am going to go to Imager. No, we're not going to check out memes. And then I am going to upload this. How's that? How long have I been coding for? So I started with a proprietary language of Skyrim. I'm sure you heard of the game, and that is a language that is similar to, I guess, basic form of C, a mix of C and VBasic. And I did that for about 2 years, so I kind of got into the coding mindset and mentality and all that. And recently I decided I wanted to do something serious, like actually get my studies in there, because I've had my studies for quite some time, I just never really picked them up or done them. So this is my first actual serious attempt at taking resources and going through them. I've got a Udemy course that I want to go through, but I also wanted to do this interactive thing where I literally have pretty much no idea what I'm doing and just sharing it with everyone, I guess. And yeah, I guess that's what we're doing now. Okay, so we need to add the image in here. So here's the image ID, and we're going to add the source to Imager that we just added now. We're going to add an alt of from what I remember from the accessibility course yesterday, you don't want really repetition, and you don't really want to add an alternative text unless you absolutely have to. So if I added Chester Bennington here, for screen readers it would read Chester Charles Bennington, Chester Bennington. So I don't think we really need to. If a screen reader can't see it, there's no point having anything there. So we're going to have the alt blank. And I think that should work. Now we just got to fix the size. And also, how does it go outside of the width if I constrained it to this wrapper? That's strange. Is it not part of main? And did we not set any constraints to main? Width of 80%, margin of order. So how does the image fall out of that? H3, you say you're 1 month into learning only HTML, CSS for now. I want to make websites only, and then I'll learn some JavaScript and PHP later on probably. Well, that's awesome. Have you been doing the courses as well? Have you gone through the curriculum on Free Code Camp, or what's been your medium, and how are you finding it so far? If you want to advise me here, you're more than welcome to. I'm just trying to figure out how the image escapes the width constraint here, because I was pretty sure that everything that falls under that ID belongs to main, so it shouldn't technically be able to get out of there. Weird. Okay, anyway, the ID that controls... Oh, I think it's because it's part of image div. Is that the reason? Nope, I'm just learning by doing projects and watching tutorials. No courses. I did some projects, now I'm making a few more in a portfolio at the moment. Yeah, that's awesome. I feel the best way to actually learn is by doing. And the only reason I've been like covering the curriculum is, you know, hopefully it helps someone else along the way and they can follow through or ask questions. But all my experience, the majority of, comes from just doing. Literally trial and error. Literally what I'm doing right now. It's like, this thing is not working. I'm going to Google it in a moment. But first I'm going to... So how do you sort your CSS out, by the way? Like, I just feel it's like completely out of order. I'm going to have my main there, and I'm going to have my image div over here. It's just like everything's all over the place. So the width is going to be relative to 50%, or it should have been. Oh, the ID is image. But that doesn't change it either. That's weird. And it's would accept the value in pixels, won't change it either. Interesting. I always sort my CSS based on HTML if I have. If I have main container, H1, let's say in CSS, I go by the... Okay, yeah, so you just go in order... I just realized I misspelled image. You go in order of your HTML. Yeah, that's smart. That makes sense. Okay, I think we're getting somewhere. So now it's 50%, which I'm going to assume of the container. That looks about 50%, doesn't it? I could technically add two Chesters side by side, and it should just work, shouldn't it? There you go. Okay, so now we know it's 50% of the container. There's a Chester for you, and a Chester for you. Okay, so that works. Now we can... Now how do you align it? That's the other thing, because I know you can do text align, but to actually align a div, maybe try adding width 100% and max width 1.5 to container, and then add width 100% for image and display block. What I did, I decided to go for a wrapper, which I set the width to 100% and I removed all margins. Then I added a main inside of the wrapper. That's going to be 80% of the full width, so that's responsive. So we always have an 80% container like we have now. Yeah, I was looking at Flexbox, I guess. So you could just mix Flexbox where you want, right? Because then I could just do display Flexbox, right? And then, what was it? Was it justify align center? No, it wasn't justify, it was content align, or something. It was items align. Can't remember exactly now. Alright, justify content center. Yeah, just gotta remember the more I do it, it will get in, you know, into my head. It's just the fact that you go through it once, and there's a lot of hand holding. So there's justify content center, but it's still not centering it. We have display flexbox, which would have made a flexbox width of 50%. So if I added 100% width now, okay, that's just going to increase it fully. You need to add it to the parent. So the parent of image. Oh, it's display flex, not flexbox. I need to add it to the parent. So the parent being the main, I guess? Okay. Then it does that. Now I just gotta remember how this works. The reason I added these background colors was to visually see what's going on. So this is column 1. And this is column 2. Does it look like that? Oh, you talk about going back 1. Okay, okay. I get you, I get you. So instead of image, it's image div. Display flex. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Oh, because it works in hierarchical format. So the higher I go up, the more things get affected by the flex, right? So in this case, we started there, but now this text. How do we stop the text from being affected from it? What if I just wanted the flex to be on this? You can't really change that, can you? Would I just change it to display like block or whatever? So justify content center. And I remember there was a thing where you can grow it and whatnot. Just want to see how responsive it is right now as things stand. How are we doing so far though? 6 out of 10. So we need an element of title. So can we literally just do title? I guess we could just wrap it in a title tag like that, right? That should let us pass that part. Oh god, where'd the red go? What happened to my red? What did I do? I did have red before, didn't I? What was my red again? It was my... oh god, where'd it go? What happened? I wrapped it in title elements. Then how does it disappear? What? That's confusing. So if I don't have the title tags, then it comes back. Why? Am I doing something wrong? Wait, what if we just replace this with title? And then it just completely disappears. Where does the text even go? It's like not even there. Is it because this thing needs to be like... And that's not a valid element, is it? Oh yeah, I know that. That I know. It's just, then why is it not pick it up? Because I already have this. Do you see? Never mind, I was thinking of something completely different now. Oh, it's stupid. Anyway. Let's give our class back. Small things now. I can feel myself flagging a little bit. Okay, let's just check that again. Why'd this fail? I should see an element with corresponding ID which contains a string that describes the subject of the tribute page. Oh, they want an additional one? I guess we can just replace the class with ID and replace this as title, and then that should solve the problem. There we go, that solved that problem. Number 7, I should see an... Okay, yeah, we haven't got the link and the layout. The image element should responsively resize relative to the width of its parent element without exceeding its original size. Okay, so we need to set a max size, don't we, for the image? So 50%, we've set a max size already. So maybe we should do max width of 50% instead. And then we can set width to... We can leave it at 50%. Is there any downside to leaving it exactly the same? Max width and width to the same? Oh no, we actually can leave it at 100%, can't we? Max width 100%, but the initial width is going to be 50%. So I assume that will scale it up, right? As the viewport gets larger, I'm assuming. Max width in pixels. Okay, then I guess we can find out the size of that image so that I know what I could set the max to. It's 2530 pixels. 2530 pixels. And then width of 50%. Cool, we've done that, but now we still have the issue. The image element should responsively resize relative to the width of its parent element. What's its parent element? Image div. So this is the one that we should set to 50% as well. Width 50%, because that's what's going to hold the image, right? So we want that to be 50% of the overall content. And I'm going to add a background color black, just so that we can see what we're working with. Okay, now why is that? Oh, it is 50%. justify content center. No, make this black be right in the middle of this, because it's flex now. Maybe I should be using grid instead of flex. What do you think? If container is 50%, make image 100% so it fits the max. Yeah, I'm aware of that. I wanted the image div to be 50% of the container it's in. An image div is currently inside the main container, and the main is, oh, it's 80%. Wait, no, that is fine. I just need to center it. The issue here is that it's not centered. And justify content is not working for it. It's because I have to put flex in the previous one as well, don't I? So this needs to end up being display flex, I'm assuming. Nope, broke it. Ah, trial and error. I'm really glad you stopped by, H3H3. Really appreciate it. These pointers, definitely helpful. Can I link you the code pen? Yeah, I guess I could. Here you go. Hey, Christopherus. Good to see you drop by as well. I appreciated all the support on Twitter. And now on here as well. I'm going to try that. Flex direction. I was working with Flex. The only issue with FCC's stuff is that it basically gives you a lot of hand holding and you're told exactly what to do and you don't really think. And even though I did the entire course, it's like I'd have to go back to remember. That's generally how it is, unless I do it a few times. But let me try that. You said flex direction column. Would I have to do it on the previous one as well? No. Cool, it's saved now. H3H3, you should be able to do the exact same one. The link that I sent you. Because what I'm used to doing is just going text align center, you know, for stuff like this. That's why we got this centered. But to center, shouldn't I be using grid instead? Like the pros and cons between flex and grid. Because at least grid, you know, you're working in lines. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If I split this up into multiple lines. It's weird that you don't have it, H3. Let me just load it up on my side and see what happens. That's weird, I loaded the link that I sent you, H3H3, and it works for me. So I'm not sure why it's not working for you. Christopher's align item center under... Is that for the image div now, you're thinking? Align... Because that would be the items that are within it. So align item center. There we go. I don't think I need to justify content, do I? That was specifically for... What was content for again? I think for the parent itself. But yeah, that works. So column and center. That aligns at least the image in it. The issue that I have is you see this black bar? Or the image div itself. Because I said a background. I want this to be centered within... the main div that it's in right now. If I set this to 100%, then it fills it fully, but I only want it to be 50%. Or maybe that's the issue, because if I fill it 100%, then I get the 50% image. I didn't close the div in HTML. What? Did I leave one open? There's a div and a div matching. There's main. I have 1, 2 and 1, 2 closed here. Is there one I didn't close? On what line? Oh, you saw that I have it closed, okay. Well, I mean, technically I could leave it like this, but that's not what I wanted. Justify content center. Centers horizontally, which is what we want. When it's flex direction row. Oh, okay. So then if I change flex direction row and, whoops, justify content center, that's what we want. That's what I was talking about. The only issue that I have now is, you see this over here, this text. Let me remove the background color. The issue that I have is that text over there. I don't want it to be affected by this. I just literally wanted the image there and have the content underneath. Flex direction row is default already. Okay, so you don't even need that? All you need is justify content? Right. I wonder if I would be better off working in grids instead of this, because this needs to be underneath here. Yeah, exactly, that's what I want, H3. So unless I'm misunderstanding flex, wouldn't it be better if I try to convert this all to grids? Because I more or less understand that a bit better. And I really appreciate the support, by the way, both of you. That's why use flex direction column and align item center. Okay, because then it's a column instead of a row. Because now it's rows, row 1, row 2. Is this row 1 actually here? This empty spot here? Row 1, row 2, row 3? This is why I added the background colors, by the way, so I could visually see what's going on, because I have no idea. This is a single one. Okay, so let me switch it back then. Flex direction column. And change this to align item center. There we go. Yeah, that's better. It wants us to add a caption though. Oh, my eyes now. This is really bright. Sorry if it bothers you guys as well. So within the image div element, I should see an image element with a corresponding ID image. We did that. Within the image div element, I should see an element with a corresponding ID image caption that contains textual content describing the image shown. I think we have this here. It wants us to describe the image, but that's not necessarily what I want to do. It's a tribute page, so I want to have that quote somewhere, but maybe this is not the place to have it. So what do you guys feel flex over grid? Because you say H3H3 you use flex. Why flex over grid? Is it just what you used to? No, it wants me to add caption here. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm gonna add now. Maybe that's where I can move this section, the subtitle that I had. So I'm gonna move subtitle. I'm gonna add a class subtitle. I used Flexbox for this challenge. Okay. Now, why do you guys use Flex instead of Grid? Just by the way, I'm just curious. But at least grids you can like split everything up logically. With Flexbox, like how do I know where what is. I know that everything is from top to bottom, so each div is going to be an entire encompassing thing, 1, 2. But like here, do I just assume this is full width now that I'm using flex? I guess that's why I should go change the background color quickly, right? Background color black. Okay, so this entire thing is the flex. Now what I don't get is this caption is still part of the original flex? How does that work? Because this caption here belongs to... Oh, it's part of the div, image div, that's why. So because it belongs to the div, everything under it falls under the same flex box? There's a good game for learning flex. Thanks. I'm definitely gonna check that out. Okay, so here's what I want to do. Where it says subtitle, we're going to change the background color to this. It's going to be a bit darker, and what I want to do is I want to round it. How do we do rounded? Just Google it, right? Everything's going to be about Googling at this point. So we purely use... Oh, it was border radius. That's what it was. And let's just play around with border radius. Not that much. About 15. Why does that look worse? It didn't even change. What? Is it not update? 5. That's like quite drastic. Let's do 5. Then we're gonna take this. And we're gonna figure out what to add afterwards. We're gonna add our caption in there. Then we're gonna completely remove this. We're not gonna use that anymore. And then I'm gonna remove the black, at least temporarily, because now... So we can get some stuff going. Then what I want to do is... Can we blend the images on the sides that you guys know? Like I know in Photoshop you can, but like blend it into the background. Either that or I'm just gonna have to add a... Oopsie, I'm gonna have to add border radius to it as well, because it's just very jarring right now. Looks a bit better than the square, what do you guys think? And then... Now that we know that that red's there, I think I can temporarily remove it. Now let's see if I can remember how box shadow works. Nope, don't remember. Gonna Google it. I just can't remember the properties that come first. So the horizontal offset, okay, and the vertical offset, and then the blur. So all of these are optional, so you only need the first two. And the color of the shadow. What's the default color? Is the text color. Okay, let's try 5 pixel to begin. Whoa! Hold on. Why does that look so bad? What did I do? That looks awful. Why is it doing on the entire ID? Now I'm gonna try and figure that one out. I thought it would just apply to the text. Oh, okay. It's supposed to do that. It's a box shadow. I'm thinking of something else then. Is there a text shadow? When you say awful, you didn't see my first project. Thanks. It's text shadow that I'm looking for. Not box shadow. That's why I'm having an issue. I'm trying to add a text shadow. It's literally the same thing, just not box shadow. I think I'm so used to freaking box and flex. There you go. And now we just gotta play around with this. And we need to play around with the opacity. Blur radius. Okay. Let's see how that affects it. There we go, that's getting better. That's a bit better. It's just to add a bit of depth. What is this control again? Okay, so leave that there. Bring this a bit down maybe? Not too much. 3, 4, 5, 6. Seems most visible around there, around 5, 6. I think 5. That looks good. It makes it a bit harder to read now. So what other options we have? So we have... what's the first one? We've got the offsets, we've got the blur radius, and then the color. Maybe... yeah, what happened to our color? Was it always black? Or did we just not add a... we didn't add a color to this, did we? So here's our inspiration. Like, oh, it was supposed to be white. My bad. And you know what confuses me? Why is it color and not font color? You know what I mean? Like if everything is font family, font size, why can't we have font color? Or why can't we just have size? It's like so confusing. And if I don't specify black, what happens? Oh yeah, we definitely want to specify black. So that makes it a bit easier to read. I don't suppose you guys know how to add a little bit of like decals like that, do you? That's like what I'm going for, the look more or less. This is the inspiration. So the Meteora album art is what I'm basing the tribute page on. Color is easier, also background and background color is the same thing. Really? Then why do we always use background color? Just want to get the standards right first. You know what we could try? I wonder if we do opacity 0.7. It's like phase it in. Is that a bit much? Is there any real difference then in us doing that? Not really, right? Kind of pointless. Okay, and Christopherus, do you use background or background color? Okay, you know what I want here? Where it says loving father, husband and inspirational musician. What is that? That is part of that subtitle. So find subtitle, set its background color to black, right? Leave this out for now. Then we're gonna set an opacity of 0.4. But where's the text? Oh, it affects the text too, everything. Oh, I need a subtitle background. How can I change the background color to have opacity? I would have to use HLS, wouldn't I? HSL. Which of these controls opacity? It doesn't, does it? You can do Z minus index 1 on the text. No, but the thing is, the text is part of the subtitle. Hold on, let me just make sure. Yeah, so, oh, it's image caption. So there's the idea of image caption. Okay, no, this is simple. All we need to do is add, God, my CSS is all over the place. Image caption, right, and then we just add background color and opacity to that. No? Is that not? Oh, no, wait. Ah, that works. I'll add the opacity just now. What we need is the text color now. That's what I keep forgetting. Color. Let's do white for now until I figure out what I want. And then the reason I chose black is because then I can set the opacity here to like 0.7 or something. But I want it to be really light. But now it's affecting the text. Why? Am I like confused? Because the clarity... I just wanted the background. You said Z index 1 on the text. So let me just try that. That doesn't... Unless I have a Z index of 0 on the... But I have to like set the Z index here as well to like 0 or -1. Oh, that hides it. What if I had that as 1 and that as 2? I can try everything at this point. No. Okay, so what I'm trying to do, guys, is have that background be light using opacity, but the problem is the opacity for some reason is affecting the text, and I don't know if it's because the div that it is housing it, the image caption, and the class, or all on one thing. Is that the reason? Because the ID is image caption, the class is subtitle. Did I... What? Is it not Z dash index? But that didn't change anything. You see? It's still getting affected by the opacity. I want to affect only the background. But the text and everything is being affected as well. This is how it should look. You see? The text is bright and everything. The background needs to change. While we add it, we might as well add some padding, like all around it. Image div P. This is starting to get very hacky. But there you go, I added that. Do you think now I should be able to do the opacity? Nope, still affects the text. Or shouldn't it be image caption? Because... Nope. Just add all P elements to have a Z index. Oh, not working. You guys get what I'm trying to do, right? Okay, so I have a background here. You see the background color? And image caption. Okay, it's black. I want to affect its opacity, but not have the text, which is under subtitle, be affected by it. I have no idea why. The only thing I could think of is because I have my ID and my class all affecting the same P tag. Do you see here? The ID is image caption, the class is subtitle. And I want the image caption to have a background, but that background must have a lower opacity, but the text must be unaffected. I racking your guys' brains as well? Maybe use the RGBA. Yeah, I was thinking of that. Let's try it then and see how that works. So we're gonna remove that. And then we're gonna use smart thinking, by the way. RGBA 0. It is. Do you use commas? I can't remember. It's like this, right? That's what I wanted. That's exactly what I wanted. There you go. I could have literally just used a darker background. Now that I'm thinking about it. In fact, I think I'm going to use a darker background just so we're not hacky, because that's literally what I did. So let's find our color picker here. That's our base color, and we're going to go with something darker, something like this. Now we need to remember to do the fallback. I gotta remember how to do the fallback. Now we're not using any hacks or anything. But if that can't render, isn't there a fallback for background color if it can't use that RGB? Or it should be able to use RGB, right? Because I remember some browsers can't display it. Or it's if you use HSL, right? I gotta remember. It's a bit too dark. We go like 1 up. That's guess that works. We'll play around. Then again, the effect that I was going for requires us to go black. And the text color is going to have to be one of our browns. Something like that. We're trying to get this effect, like I said. So it's a much brighter color, maybe less dark background, to like 0.4 maybe, 0.3, and then a much lighter color. Let's try with that first. Still a bit hard to read, so let's go lighter in the spectrum. Might be a bit too light now. And I don't like how big the box is in general. We can always, that's a nice thing, we can just like play around. So let's like drop it to 60% for now. Oh, that affects everything. How do I get it to only affect the width? What did I do wrong? Was the width here the issue? No. Because when I adjust the width, I expect it to just squish it in, not affect everything. Oh, is it? I'm guessing it's because I don't have a height, right? Is it because I don't have height? What am I thinking? And what happened when I removed the margins? That's how I centered it in the first place. I didn't expect that it would shrink it like that. I just wanted the padding on the sides. So if I get 60%, yeah, that gives me the box that I want. But now everything else in it is smaller. I want this to be filled out more, if that makes sense. Because if I just pushed it to 100%, I'm just going to go to the edges, which is not what I want. How are we doing with our challenge though? 8 out of 10, not bad. The last issues, we need the A element, which I obviously haven't done, and the image element should responsively resize relevant to the width of the parent element without exceeding its original. Use the display style property with a value of block for responsive images. Expected flex to equal block. Oh no. It wants us to use block. Oh god, this is gonna mess everything up, isn't it? Or not. That didn't change anything. Hey! And everything's the same. But then we don't use justify we don't even need that? How does that work? How's it centering right now? It's amazing. Oh, it's because of this, isn't it? The image div. There we go. That's what did everything. That's where we used the flex, the power of flex. Under title, let's maybe add some padding. Padding bottom like 5 pixels, maybe a bit more, 10 pixels, a bit too close. What are we pogging about, H3H3? We're getting somewhere. I'm just very critical of my own work, but we need... What do you bold in a tribute page? We need a quote. How'd you get the left and right quotes in CSS? You know those fancy quotes? I'm gonna take some CSS code I've got here. Or you think use some icons? But then I have to like strap in Bootstrap. I mean Font Awesome. I didn't mean the icons, I just saw if there's a way. How else? With CSS, of course. So let's try... Is block quote valid? Because then some quote here. Is it self-closing? No, it's not. Something like that. Do you see what I mean? Yeah, Googled it. Because then we got block quote. And if we didn't have this, then we would just have like some hideous thing like that. You seeing that for the first time? Okay, that's what I was referring to. We just gotta clean it up though. Change the background to like a darker version of what we're using. Maybe that. Why does that seem lighter? How's that darker? ¿Qué pasa? Oh, that's quite dark. You know what I want? I want that on here. That's where I want it. But for this color, I want it slightly lighter until I get it right. It's all trial and error at this point. There's so many things we don't know, right? Oh no, it's not exactly the same color as my background. Wait, I said lighter, right? Lighter than my background. You know, I could have been done with the challenge so long ago. And then the color for this needs to change to slightly darker, but not as dark as the other one, if that makes sense. So like, maybe that. No, needs to be darker still. Technically, I'm losing my words. It could be exactly the same color as the. Can be exactly the same color as this. There's no reason why it can't be. Oh, wrong one. Is it this one? There you go. And then we add my favorite quote from Chester.
H3H394 is following the family.
Woohoo! Welcome to the family, H3H3. Or to the Matrix even. Now we got our quote here. So how does our quote look? How's that? You can't be afraid of people willing to hurt you, because if you fear life, then you will never live. Kinda works, doesn't it? And that's like right at the bottom. I don't know where I'll put it. I don't know if we want it black. I mean, it's readable, right? It's not readable. But I don't know how I feel about these colors now. Like, I initially had that as white. Like I said, I'm basing everything off of the album art. So that's like the main text there as white. Then again, they didn't have the white on the light background. They had the white. But we do have that shadow to hopefully make it a bit easier to read. Can add some shadow to the image. Now we can add box shadow. Why does it look so bad? Oh, we need probably like the blur radius, don't we? Add some more blur radius. 8 pixels. Uh, 12 pixel? Yeah. Because that kind of looks like it's stuck on, doesn't it? I want to blend it. Blend it better. Higher. Move this off a bit. Nope. Bring it back. That's good. I'm okay with that for now. It adds that little bit of depth, you know what I mean? Then it just made the image pop. Because look, without it, it's like just a flat image. Is it just me? And then it's like, boom. I mustn't get carried away with this. And yeah, maybe change the font weight. Good idea. That is under title. Font weight, drop it to like 300? If it has a difference? Doesn't change it that much. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit easier to read. And then maybe change the font size to like 42? I think it needs to be bigger, but not too big. Now it feels a bit... I'm worried that the quote part down here is a little too small now. I guess we could adjust that. Under subtitle, change this to 18 pixels? A little bit better. Oh, you thought for the text inside the quote. Oh, fair enough. I wasn't even thinking about it. This was the issue. But, I mean, you helped. It looks a little bit better now, I think. Still got to add something there. Then what I want to do is change the font size. Change the font of this. Because that's block quote. You know what I think we're gonna do? We're gonna find a new font. And we're gonna look for something that's gonna look good. Again, based on our... What strikes you as something that just... looks like quote font? Something exciting. This Gafara kind of looks cool. But you don't have too many different fonts as well, because then everything starts looking like you just chuck it all together. That's why I try to keep everything sans serif. Less the... I think they're all sans serif now. So if we keep it all sans serif, without the serif. But don't tell the serif, because obviously it's not going to be too impressed. It needs to be a thin font that doesn't have too much weight on it. I feel is going to be something good for a quote. And then if there's obviously a emphasized italic version, maybe we can have it italicized? We'll test it and see. I think the one I found was a good one. Because you don't want like a fantasy font, it needs to... Just give me a moment, guys. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, I'm back. I found the font as well, the Gafara. That's exactly what we wanted. And then we should import, I don't think we're using the other one anymore. Which one? Oh, it was Merienda, I think, that we're not using, so I'm just gonna like completely remove that. And then we need to include it, so Gafara is going to be the one that we're using for the block quote. So how do you guys sort out your CSS? Because I mean, I just literally putting things everywhere right now. Font family background. Like I know there's an order. Do you alphabetize it? You just run it through a processor online. And I'm gonna try and follow the flow and format of the HTML when I do the CSS. I'm just feel so disorganized. And how's that font? And then I think if we can either wrap it in emphasis here, or we can do it via CSS, but I think it'll be easier if we just wrap it in M over here. How's that look? You can't be afraid of people willing to hurt you, because if you fear life, then you will never live. I love that. It's just so powerful. I don't think I like this at all. I don't know. I feel there's going to be a part 2 tomorrow where I finish it up. I know I'm taking way more time than I should, because I'm pretty much like done if I just leave it. But we're 9 out of 10. The only thing left is I need a element and add some information about Chester in that block there, and then a link. Might as well add that now so it's done. Didn't we add a tribute link? We didn't. Tribute info and tribute link. And I think I'm gonna have it somewhere down here. Read more about this incredible individual over at Wikipedia. I'm gonna just do something like that. And then I'm literally gonna wrap the whole thing. And let's even add a title. I think we have it open somewhere here, don't we? Chester Bennington. What's the title? Title Chester Bennington Wikipedia. That's how they did this, and then the link is there. Why is that? Oh, I didn't close it, did I? Looks like. And we definitely have to change like A's coloring and all that. Oh, that looks awful. I have a feeling we're gonna have to add a box and a box and a box. This is our first box, this background. This is our inner box, but I need a box for the content, if you guys know what I mean. Do we have one? Like, what is our content wrapped in? We have wrapper, then we have main. Do I have to add like another one? Div ID. If that's main, do I just add one called content, like div ID content? Like, would that work? And then shift this all up until the next div. And just close that div off. And then add content somewhere here. God, I really need to fix this up tomorrow. Just gonna chuck it in here. And add, what was it, width? 80%? We also need to do margin 0 order, don't we? And I should probably add a colon. There we go, that centers it. But that makes everything small. Do you guys know what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to bring these sides. So these sides and these sides. Actually, hold on. I probably should add a background to visualize, because that's not what I was trying to do. Sorry. Okay, so there's black. So if I make this smaller, What I want to do is I want to bring it in smaller, but I don't want to affect the content within, if that makes sense. Maybe that's where margin comes in. Like, how do I constrain it so the sides are like, or maybe that is margin. How does it work clockwise? So 0, 20%, 0, 20%? Why did I mess up? I wanted 20% from the left and 20% from the right, but look where I am. I need a max width. Max width. Okay, let's do 800 pixels rather. Margin 0 order. But now everything's smaller. Do you see what I mean? I want it like big as it is. It's just, it shrunk it. Which is a little bit annoying. I don't want it to shrink down. What's causing it to shrink? It's almost like the larger the maxed width, or if I just leave the max width like that, 1920, what happens then? That kind of works, doesn't it? Then I've got exactly what I want, and everything's in that block that I want. And then it resizes in there, but look how small that picture is. We gotta like, and even the text spills over. That's not what I want. A text. We need to use, so how do you convert pixels to M's? Can I literally just use M, or is that gonna be, oh, okay. I gotta figure out how the units work. Because I want the text to also scale down, I guess. Because it should slowly start getting smaller and smaller. Otherwise it's only the image that gets small. And the image can go a bit bigger, it doesn't have to be that small. But I guess the reason for that is the size that I set it to, so that's on me. If we go to image and set this to 80%. There we go. 70% maybe? Is that a bit too big? I don't think it's too big. I think that's good. Because then we resize. It doesn't look that weird. Yeah, that's better. I just gotta figure out how the text works now. Thanks for that, H3H3. I really appreciate that. You can get text to scale with viewport with VH or VW. Yeah, I remember that viewport. Oh, that was annoying. But I'm probably gonna have to look into that. I feel it's important, like when you do responsive, right? Because this isn't responsive. Like sure, everything else scales down, but the text just stays massive. And it like spills out over there, which does not look good at all. And why does that spill out? Like what causes it to spill out but this doesn't? This stays in, this comes out. How? Is it just because of the size? I think it's the size, right? It's enforcing the size. Okay, now this is what I wanted. I wanted the smaller inner layer. And now I got exactly what I wanted. So I can control this without affecting, oh, it still affects the size. And if I make this 800, and that obviously and what did you send me? Some simple layout that you can start learning with. Yeah, I should probably look into that. Probably like spend some time tomorrow having a look at that. But I think it's good progress, because then I can remove this background, and then at least we know where our content sits, more or less. Now we could potentially use RGBA to kind of force like, but now it starts looking like it's cascading. That's not the style I want. I don't think that looks good. Nah, I'm gonna scrap that and just stick it to that. Okay, here's what I want to know, if either of you know. That is still my issue. Do you see the borders here on the side? How can I bring them in without it affecting the entire image? That was the main issue, because if I go and I change the entire width of this right now, instead of it coming in, it is coming in, it affects everything in it as well. And that's not what I want. So I ideally want it like 40% like that, but I don't want the content to be that small. Or is that where I need to add the max width? Is that my issue? Or is it 800 pixels? No, because it still affects everything. I just want the sides. Padding left minus 200 pixels. Is that not doing anything? No. Is it margin left? No, margin will move it completely. So why is padding left not working? Padding right. You probably have a width percentage set in one of the inner divs. Yeah, I do. Width 100% in wrapper. So main belongs to wrapper. Why would that be an issue? Once I figure out the nuances of this, then I think it's going to be pretty easy. But until then... Can I link the code pen again? Sure. One moment. There you guys go. Probably change the write-up tomorrow, but that's at least how it feels for me and many others that I know, so I'm gonna go with that. Try that, I'm curious. Try what? Oh, sorry, I missed your point. You can do it with the padding probably. Add padding 0, 800 pixels, but it's not the right way, just try it. Under where? Under the main or the wrapper? Like that? Nope. Try 100% width at content. 100%. There you go. It makes it larger, but the issue is I want to bring these in, and these that I'm referring to in belong to main. You see, if I remove the background color, you see what I mean. I just want these to come in a bit. And if I set it at 60%, cool, that's great. The issue is everything in it also shrinks. I just want the width to decrease. It's like it's scaling everything. I think this is something we're gonna have to pick up tomorrow possibly, unless you guys have an idea. If you set content width to 100% and then try to set main width lower, it should work. So content width, set it to 100%, right? Oh, I see what you mean. And set the main width to... Yeah, still got a bit smaller. But I guess that's as good as it's gonna get, right? I'm just worried if you're on like a small device, how small it actually ends up becoming. Because what are we saying? Width 50% means the total size of everything, right? The 60% is a little bit better. That's better than it was, isn't it? Because 80% was much bigger. I think I'm happy with that, yeah. That looks good. It's not as bad now. And if I really wanted to, I could fill it out more because I could have the image slightly bigger, but it just looks weird then, you know, like 80%. But I'll leave it on 70%. Can this go more? Ah, okay. So what's the max width control? Okay. I see, I see. We still failed, why? ID of tribute link. Okay. ID of tribute link. Where do you guys usually put the ID? Do you put it after the reference, after the target, after the title, right in the beginning? Guys, we passed our tests. Look at that. Boom! So we have officially done it. And depending on how I feel tomorrow, I'll either spice it up a little. But that's the basics. Thank you so much for that, Christopherus. I really appreciate it. This is also something cool to come back to. You know, if I ever get stuck, I can look at my previous work and see what I did. But that looks good, huh? We passed the tests. It doesn't look too bad. I'll look back on this a few days, few months, few years later and be like, God, it's awful. Someone somewhere is cringing right now. But we passed the tests at least. And all that we need to do is apply our uses. Like I said, I'm more back-end than front-end, so I can't wait to do the JavaScript courses and all that. But yeah, I'm gonna end things off for now. I really appreciate you guys coming through. Thanks for all the advice, the tips, the support. It really means a lot to me. I'm really looking forward to day 4 tomorrow. Clean this up a little and then moving on to the next challenge, which is going to be exciting. But definitely want to put a slight bit of effort into this. Just clean it up. I know I don't really have to, but I would just like to. We got the time. That's what I said for everything I made in first 3 weeks. But that's great that you can look back and see how far you've come, H3H3. That's really awesome. I hope you guys have an incredible morning, afternoon, evening further, depending on where you guys are when you happen to see this. Until next time, I'll see you then. Bye for now.